Hey guys, welcome back to Main Street Living. Now, we are celebrating Women's History Month in March, but no matter what month it is, Danielle, sure is exciting to see talented women succeeding, right?
Yes, I love to see that every month of the year. And now Rebecca Gibel, who hosts the Simply Southern New England show right here on YurView, is going to join us. She's also a very busy actress and featured in one of this year's hottest movies, CODA, which is up for a long list of Academy Awards this weekend. Please welcome to Main Street Living, Rebecca Gibel. Rebecca, how are you doing?
I'm so good. So glad to be here. Thanks for highlighting ladies.
Well, you are highlighting the show here. You are a woman of many talents, but your focus has always been on acting. What can you tell us about your career and some of your favorite projects?
Well, I primarily worked originally in theater, but now I'm making the transition into TV and film. And my favorite project to date in that avenue has definitely been CODA. I've worked opposite Ed Burns, who taught me so much about camera language and framing, and Mark Wahlberg, who taught me a lot about wrestling, but that's another story for another time. So I feel like I've been incredibly blessed just to be moving through and working consistently and learning every day.
Yeah, well, learning is all a part of life, of course. And speaking of part of your life, part of your transition from the stage to the screen, it has included the Simply Southern New England show that you host right here on YurView, in fact. But I have to ask, what's the fun part about that show? Like, what makes that show so fun for you?
Oh my gosh. The team that puts it together does a phenomenal job of finding all of the most exciting and unexpected adventures to explore in New England. So I feel like, I get to explore all those things. Like when we went to this amazing tulip farm where you can pick your own. Last week, I did a segment about ninja training at this ninja gym, and I got to climb up the infinity wall and swing from rings. I threw pots at a studio. But what feels the best to me is that these last 2 years, we've all been so separate. And so I feel like in my tiny way on Simply Southern, I'm giving folks a way to reconnect and learn about their area and get together again. It's been a real pleasure.
Yeah, so
Well, one
cool.
of those things with that show is you get to wear a lot of different hats, right? You're a florist one day, you're a potter the next day. Is there any one segment that really stands out to you as one of your favorites?
Oh my gosh. I gotta say, working out at that ninja gym, it got my appetite like really fired up. I would just want to hang from things and climb everything and hit bags. It was so much fun. It was very
Maybe that will be
empowering.
your next role, because
That's
one of your
right.
recent roles was playing Joanne Biles in the movie Coda. How did you get involved with that project, and what was filming like?
That was a normal audition process. As actors, we're constantly auditioning, and usually it's like 100 no's before you get a yes. And that was a blessing to get a yes for that project. I read the script and fell in love with it immediately. And I was so tickled and blessed that Sean Hayter, the director and writer, thought that my vision of Joanne matched her vision. So it was a wonderful privilege to come on for that. Filming was amazing. I don't know how much you folks know about the film, but it is centered around a family. Three of the family members are deaf, and the daughter is hearing, and so it's kind of this nexus, this flex point coming of age story for this daughter that is discovering a new identity. But part of the filming meant that my scenes were all with Troy Kotzer and Daniel Durant, who are two brilliant actors who also happen to be deaf. And so working on set with them and learning, just dipping my feet into deaf culture the smallest bit, but also it felt like an acting class, especially with Troy. He is so wildly expressive and inventive that I felt like every frame of film with him was nothing but honest, but also completely embodied and lit up. He was amazing.
Yeah, so like some actors are how do you say, like they really get into, like I know Will Smith is one of those
Then-
actors where they become that
Yeah.
character. With yours, did you find it difficult to make a connection?
Uh, it was an incredibly open and relaxed set. So I felt like Sean and Paula, who was the cinematographer, and everybody on that set, because Sean was leading with an open heart and patience and grace from the top of that food chain, it really infused the entire set. So I didn't find it difficult to connect at all with the material or feel comfortable enough to kind of explore and live moment to moment on set. Troy is also he's so surprising and so present that I felt like for the most part, I just had to take him in. And as long as I was taking him in, I didn't have to worry about my performance, because as long as I was responding to him, it was going to be dialed in. He really is a national treasure. I saw him probably 15 years ago in a touring production. Deaf West did a touring production of a musical called Big River. And I didn't know until when I got on set with him, I kind of went, because I'd seen him in this production of this musical, and it floored me. I remember sitting in the theater afterwards, just like kind of all cried out, and he was astonishing. The whole cast was, but he's been toiling away for 35 years as an actor, just working, grinding. This is his first feature film role. His first feature film, and he's nominated for everything. He's winning everything, and he truly is. He is a movie star, and he should be a movie star. And if this makes him a movie star, then there is justice in the world.
Well, Rebecca, you're already telling us something, and we have to have more about you, but we got to go to commercial break. So if you don't mind sticking around with us, we want to find out a little bit more about this movie. And after the break, we'll even see a trailer. So you guys stay right there.
Welcome back into Main Street Living. We're here with Rebecca Gibel, host of the Simply Southern New England show right here on YurView, but also an actress featured in one of this year's hottest movies, CODA. And I don't know about you, Quincy, but I'm ready to see this trailer. So let's roll it.
There are plenty of pretty voices with nothing to say. Do you have something to say?
Oh, sometimes I get a good feeling, yeah. I get a feeling that I never had before.
You're the girl with the deaf family?
Yeah. I just want to tell you right now.
And you sing. Interesting.
Something's got a hold on me here.
What are you doing next year?
Working with my family.
Let me tell you now, I've got a feeling, I feel so strange. Everything about me seems to have changed.
I've been coaching for Berklee College of Music. I can help you get a scholarship.
Hold on, I won't let go. I said,
I want to do this.
There are plenty of pretty voices with nothing to say. Do you have something to say?
You will be required to have a hearing individual on board at all times.
I can't stay with you for the rest of my life. I've never done anything without my family before. All that I need to get by.
Wow.
Okay, amazing. I'm very excited now, but I have to ask you, this had to be a lot of work on the water, Rebecca. So what was that like?
Oh my gosh. I'm from New Mexico. I am a desert rat. So like I've canoed in the Rio Grande, but you can practically walk across it where I grew up. So working on the water had so many surprises. I didn't realize that I was prone to seasickness, which was a whole other adventure. But taking an entire film crew out 4 miles to sea has so many challenges that are impossible to kind of plan for. And it was it was just an adventure. And watching Sean navigate all of that with aplomb, with invention, with calm was astonishing. She's got like 4 different vessels that are in different spots. We're filming on this one, that ship that you saw there is this very small fishing vessel. There are 1,000 pounds of freshly caught fish getting riper by the moment. And one day there was a massive storm rolling in. So the Coast Guard was also circling the ships going, you guys are going to have to stop production soon. And, you know, it's the norm for things to be pressurized on a film set. And I will say that, you know, there's a certain amount of, you know, when you're stressed out, people get a little bit prickly, and that should have been multiplied times 20 for this situation. And Sean and Paula, the cinematographer, who were at the helm, literally and figuratively, were always completely gentle with their actors, generous with us when we'd forget things or you know, mess up a line. They made room for us to be inventive, even knowing the time pressure. It was astonishing. The other thing that was wild is that, you know, I've only dipped my toe into deaf culture, but working with Daniel and Troy and then the interpreters on set with them was so eye-opening. And not only it's like, oftentimes we think about deafness as a disability. And what was so cool on that set was that because we were all separated on different ships, it was really hard to communicate. And Sean discovered, I mean, the deaf actors were like, listen, you know, it's going to work ASL. So they were using American Sign Language to communicate from ship to ship to get the job done. And it really was more efficient and effective than any other tool that we had. It was pretty wild.
Yeah, well, we hear that, well, we've heard that CODA was written and directed by a woman. You've already touched on Sean, that's Sean Hader, you know, how it felt to work with her. But, you know, like, does it feel like the industry is becoming more inclusive of women? I
think so. I mean, I think as we look at the field of nominees and we're seeing more female names pop up, I hope that the field is becoming more inclusive in myriad ways. I think that this film is an example of how inclusive casting as well, using deaf actors to play deaf roles, not only is possible, but it makes the film more rich and more deep and more exciting. And you know, speaking about inclusivity, at the beginning of this process, Sean, it's hard to get a film made, and Sean secured funding through a production company, and it was an adaptation of a French film. And in the French film, they had used hearing actors, and when it came time to cast CODA, the production company, Sean said, oh, I want to use deaf actors. And the production company initially said, no, we need stars. And so she had to really put her money where her mouth was and say, I will walk away from this project if you do not let me cast from the deaf community. There is a wealth of talent. So she really put it all on the line. So representation, I think that folks that aren't represented, like women as often, also have kind of can have more of an ear to that, more of an awareness of that, and thus hopefully will also continue to open the doors for folks from other communities that aren't as represented, because Lord knows it is across the board and we have so much work to do.
Oh yeah,
absolutely. And she put her money where her mouth was, and it paid off. CODA is raking in awards this season. It has multiple Oscar nominations. What has it been like for you to watch this independent movie make such a big impact?
You know, there's been a lot of talk in the film community about you know, whether movie theaters have a future, if anything can get made. It's so hard for something that is not a Marvel like superhero film to get made, and also to make it to the theaters. And I think that this is such a little engine that could example like a David and Goliath situation without without the murder part, but that shows that not only is it possible to make a thoughtful, challenging, artistically rich and complicated film, but it's also completely possible for that material to sell, that our audiences are smart and that they demand more diverse content. And when they get it, they celebrate it, both in the audiences and with the critics. So I think it's really hopeful for the future of independent small film.
Well, one other thing that's hopeful is that shelf that you have in your house. Get it ready for those Oscars, to put it on there for people to watch the movie. And how can our viewers keep up with you and connect with you?
Follow me on Instagram. I am the only Rebecca Gibel out there.
That's true. That's absolutely true. And we're so grateful to have you on today.
My pleasure. Thank you. Thank you for making space for this film.
Yes, and congrats.
Yes.
So excited to dive into that one. And it's so great to see them making a difference in the film community. Coming up, we're going to see a fashionista who is also making a difference in her community.